Excuse me.
All right. Let me look. Yep, there we are. We're live on Shadow Hunters Paranormal Investigations and Events page. Here we go. Very good. So, all right. Oh, hey, there you go. I can hear myself, so everything's good.
Good.
Hi, Jeremy. Welcome to the show. Welcome, everybody, to the Scotty Rorek show. Of course, I'm Scotty Rorek. Hey. And my guest tonight is Jeremy Anacker.
Hello, everybody.
Jeremy is a very, very dear friend, and we met quite a while now already.
What's it been like 4 years or 5 years or time flies when you're having fun.
Yes, it is. It's been quite a while. So, yeah, we went. Terry and I met Jeremy one night because Jeremy does channeling, and we went to the channel, and we'll talk more about that as we go further. But that's how we met. We went to his house, and now we're very close friends. Well, there you go.
I have a channel book out called 1 Degree South of God.
Nice. And where can everybody get that? So we'll go ahead and promote that now.
Amazon.com, and you just type in 1 Degree South of God. Dynamic updates on truth and wisdom.
Cool. I want to start back because I know everybody doesn't know you, Jeremy. So let's start. Let's go in our way back machine.
Go back to the beginning.
Yeah, go back to the beginning.
There was Scotty.
And there was Jeremy. Two spiritual guys on their own journeys.
Indeed.
All right. So why don't we step back? So you were born.
I was born long ago, and I suppose, like you, I was just born different, and took a while to figure out how to function in this world as an altered person.
Right. Right. So when did you?
My earliest memories was when I was 5, singing "The Spirits in the Trees."
Okay. So what did they look like? I mean, spirits in the trees.
Oh, they looked like fairies, like little beings in the trees dancing around. I would sing to them.
Nice.
When I was 10 years old, my parents took me on a trip to Florida. And when we were in Florida, I started bawling my eyes out because I know my cat died in Stevens Point, Wisconsin.
Wow.
And my parents did not know what to do with that. And they were like trying to console me. Kate is fine. Our cat is fine. Don't worry, Jeremy. And then they made it back to Stevens Point. It was dead. Some dogs cornered it and killed my cat.
Oh.
So that was the kind of stuff I was experiencing. As far as watching energy fields, it was always confusing because I think I thought I was just seeing my mind at times, or it was hard because it was scary to people that I was seeing things where I had awareness. So I would ignore it as well, just so everybody felt safe. And when I was 18 or so, I went on a big quest in Milwaukee, realizing I saw auras and other things. And that's why I went to a bunch of healing groups, landed in a school called the Institute of Self-Awareness. And they did consciousness studies, Reiki, channeling, excuse me, oral work. And it was led by a very gifted woman with a lot of chutzpah. Helped me get very grounded.
Okay.
I was kind of out there. I got some feedback on how to be very grounded and still be intuitive.
Okay.
So that started when I was 18, 20 years old. And I helped out at that school for 20 years. So I was 20 years old, doing lectures all over Milwaukee on paradigm shift, quantum physics and consciousness, auras, transformation, helping the school bring people in, helping the school build a curriculum, helping the people in the classes. When Helen's son Larry couldn't show up to a session, I might be called in to do a aura reading while Helen did her session. So I would watch the aura, and she would be like, what's going on in the energy, Jeremy? What should we do? And I have to figure it out.
Quickly.
And so quickly, yeah, now, come on. I don't care if you're only 20 years old. You're a master. It's time to be a master right now. Come on. Out with it, buddy. So I helped her out for 20 years. The first Reiki master in Wisconsin. And it was challenging. I kind of sweated out because she really led with a high tone. She was very intuitive. She never wanted me to be below her, so I had to kind of always be next to her in a leading position. I had to learn fast. There was no waiting. So all my fears were useless. All my thoughts of smallness were absolutely useless, not to be used. So from day one, I was like, how the heck do I do this? And I kept doing something. And it's 30 years later, and I'm still doing something all the time. So I teach classes, do channelings, do feedback. Somebody just called me for a house clearing this last weekend, so I get to do everything.
And it's fun.
And it's endless fun, yes. I forgot to wear my Ghostbuster uniform and my plasma gun. I forgot to bring it. But I cleared the house anyway.
Mine's right here.
It's right here. Okay.
And I was gonna wear my green and white, but so I wore my fancy green one for today.
Okay.
St. Patty's Day. Happy St. Patty's Day, by the way.
It looks nice.
Yeah. Almost like as good as the one you wore in the picture for the show.
That was fancy. That was really fancy. And I had to steal that from you in order to look that.
You did. We were in the parking lot changing shirts.
Yeah.
We went out to dinner.
And I must have some fear and anxiety around looking great because this is very gray. I kind of just had this straightforward look.
Yeah, but it brings out your face, so it looks good.
All right. Brings up the color of my face. Yes. Thanks for noticing.
That's okay. Did you get new glasses too?
These glasses have been around a long time.
Okay.
Yeah. Look closely at them. They're cracked right here. Don't. I told you not to lean forward. I told you.
All right, I'll sit back.
You are being wrong, sir. I know I'm on your talk show.
Yes,
You're being so wrong.
Oh.
I'll go take over. I feel like I'm talking a lot. This is your show.
I'll go sit in the corner. I'll let you talk. Goodbye.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm going to take over Scotty Rorek's show.
Well, I want you to because you're all for fun, and I always love learning with you.
We have a good time. I'm glad for that.
Sure do. So I'll come up. By the way, hi Barbara, hi Karen, hi Donna, hi Debbie, hi everybody. Welcome to the show. Thanks for watching with us.
Hello, friends.
Very excited to have everybody watching tonight. So the first time we met Jeremy, Terry was been looking for things that she saw Jeremy's channeling, and we decided to come one night. And so the first night we went in there, we sat and watched. And I'll have to admit I was quite skeptical because not everybody does it well, and not everybody does it right. But Jeremy does full body channeling where he actually leaves. And after I give the story, I kind of want your perspective on all that. Okay, Jeremy?
Okay.
But so we went in there, and as a psychic medium, I'm always questioning things until, it can prove me right. And I remember that night sitting there going, okay, how's this going to work? What's going to happen? Is everything going to be cool? And I was so surprised. It was so amazing. So I'm sitting there watching, and I'm watching Jeremy's aura and Jeremy's soul, inside of him. And then when he leaves and Rama comes in, I actually saw the exchange of body souls. I saw them come in, and I saw you go away. And to me right there, and I was like, okay, this is real. This is really real. And
This side, you try to be on this side of that experience.
I bet that's what I want. That's what I want to get into because I always like to hear what happens on your end. But and then so we watched, and then the voice came out. And what's so funny is after all these years of us going to Rama, the voice is exactly the same because it's Rama. I guess that's the best way to say it. And so let's start. So why don't we start on who Rama is?
Well, it's sort of an unfolding dialogue on who and what Rama is. Recently, some clearer than ever statements have been made. So Rama is a collective of beings and a voice. So we kind of relate to this as an individual almost, like we feel personal connection to this. Right. But it's an incredibly large field of energy, and he talk about being from a place called 1 degree south of God, as is the cover of the book. And recently, they're trying to talk about oneness, God as being an absoluteness, an infinity of power without here and there or this or that. And a subtle differentiation of that is any sense of thought differentiating out of the infinite field of power. That's 1 degree out from God. And that's where all creation begins. So the thought of the multiverse is at 1 degree south of God. The thought of this universe is just a subtlety in that place called 1 degree south of God. So the Rama masters are of that subtle differentiation. So it's a very abstract kind of awareness to have, or a teaching to be with. It's super it's really for those deepest seekers, people that really want to know in a super comprehensive way, and experience the energy. So when people come to the transmissions, it's much about experiencing the energy. And a lot of people don't care what's being said too much until later when we send the transcripts out. So more could be said about who or what they are, I think. But they talk about big picture understandings, and they try to connect that to our everyday life and what it means to live in everyday life with more limitedness, with more perspective, with more buoyancy, with more of a stride. And around that topic.
And sitting on the stump.
Right, they talk about sitting on the stump quite a bit, don't they? You probably could talk a lot about some of the teachings they give, maybe in some ways more than me.
Yeah, I've said that before when I talked about you, and how, because you leave your body and you go somewhere and do something else, and then you come back, you're not there for the transmission. You only hear it off of the recordings that are done. So right. The energy in the room is quite amazing. When I was 100% sold was the night that Rama went around very early, and he would walk around the room and he would step over people's legs, if they're out in the room, and right. You had your eyes closed. And so Rama was able to move the body because they could see where it was going, and they would put their hands on us as they give us personal readings. And that I thought was so incredible because I never saw that done before. So to see that and know that understanding was quite amazing. I know many times, both my wife Terry and I, we both have always asked pretty tough questions around, what about hell? What about this? Trying to get some definitions of what really is. And to my understanding of what I heard was that there really isn't a hell. Correct?
Yeah, well, as me, I would say my best guess is that we make our own hell in here.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's a result of me orientation. I get lost in myself, and that cycles and it gets stronger and stronger. And then there's no ability to connect with the world, life as it is. You kind of are lost in self, and then it gets more and more weighty, and then we go to hell inside.
Right.
It's the ultimate sense of separation from you, or me, from you, or anybody, or life.
That makes sense. I say on this show a lot that we make our own happiness or unhappiness.
Right.
Spiritual's faith, and that's what it is. If we want to live in that lower energy, then it's going to feel like hell, and I liked your description there. We once we disconnect from everything, then we become nothing. Then we become just singular. And when we're in that stage, then we feel no connection, and that to me would be hell. Because if I didn't feel all every day, I'd go crazy.
Yeah. Well, being an egomaniac or a narcissist, is hell. And it's hard to get out of it because one's convinced themselves so much of their own meanness, and their importance, and that they need to win or overtake or dominate. Look at Adolf Hitler. If they didn't win under formidable odds, they weren't good enough. They deserved to die.
Right.
For him, if you didn't win for me, this is all about me. You're going to have to die.
Right.
And that's the ultimate malicious messianic narcissism. That's hell.
Yeah, I agree. And so, we've talked about that over and over, and the people that come on the show all have that same belief that we make it here, that there's really not a place, because once we die, we have the choice to become with the oneness. I always love Rama's comments to me. Rama always says that something about me being on stage, me and being in front of people, me being able to put the word out, and that's why when I was doing the show, I said, I have to have Jeremy on, because we have to talk about putting this out to the one. This is what it is. So here you go, Rama. I'm on it. Here we go. We're talking.
Nice. Yes. You're fulfilling the blessing and the call to do what you need to do.
Yeah. I always felt Rama, and I always saw everybody else's energies those nights. I mean, it was an incredible night for me as a medium to be able to tap into Rama's energy and listen and just go away and enjoy the ride that they took me on.
Yes.
That was so neat. So,
well, next time we do a video like this, we should have some people that have been around a long time, because they can talk about what it's like to be in the transmission as a participant more than me. I know when I come back, I feel like I'm cooked. I definitely am the guy that thinks that reality is for those people who can't handle drugs. But when I come back from a Rama transmission, I feel like I'm on drugs.
right. Well, that's good. So why don't you explain for everybody that's watching that doesn't know what channeling is, because there's couple different types of channeling. If you want to go over that too.
Right. I'd like to talk about what I have most affinity with.
Okay.
The Tibetans in history, as a country, they would spend 90% of their wealth to educate 10% of the population in very esoteric and very deep Buddhism. And so they put all their resources into this kind of awakening and wisdom. They had all these very intuitive practices. One of them was channeling. The Dalai Lama would consult the channel, and the channeler, to get themselves out of the way, would put this enormous lead helmet on top of their head. And I think it would almost would crank their neck around or something. There was so much pain, and that's all they could think about was the pain. So then whenever the messages were coming through, they would just be clear, because he was so busy being in pain. I don't need the lead helmet. But the Dalai Lama would consult this channel frequently, and that's what saved him when the channel said you should leave Tibet, as he was leaving and escaping out back paths, in the mountains, under the cover of night, the Chinese came right into town. So he barely escaped just in time.
Wow.
But that kind of style of wisdom and depth, something I feel really close to. And I feel like I would love to be about that. And I think that's what I have attracted as a person in the channel. It's this kind of super deep, comprehensive, original stuff that is not for everybody. It's definitely not for everybody. But we have a really dedicated group, and we have really incredible dialogues. And I'm on the edge of my seat as a transformation junkie. And so I need to be given new things and recontextualize wisdom in new ways all the time. And I get fed by what comes out of the transmissions.
Nice. Yeah, just because we've talked about it here on the show too, where I tend to do, I've done some of like you, but I do mostly, I don't go away when I channel, they're there with me. And even now in my readings, since I did ayahuasca, even though I do my readings now, I have the spirits channel because it makes the reading go a lot faster. I don't have to listen anymore. I can just have them talk through me. And it becomes really kind of cool for the sitter, for them, because they all sound, well, that sounded like my dad. That was my dad's facial gestures, so it's kind of a neat way for them to see their loved ones when we're doing reading. So I'm not just listening and then repeating, I'm just letting them do it. And then it takes all the pressure off of me because I'm not doing anything. I'm just letting them do it. I sit back and go, okay, go.
Yes, that's similar for me. A lot of times when I'm presenting or doing some feedback with someone, I know that there's this otherness running the show through me, and I'm almost like shocked of the clarity that I'm speaking of or about. And the truth is, it isn't really me, Jeremy. It's this transmission.
Right.
Yeah, and I too can do this without going into altered states. I can just kind of turn myself over the energy, and it uses me, and it's usually in service. I still have an ego, and it still takes over at times. You can ask my wife.
You could ask mine too.
I don't need to, Scotty. I don't need to even ask.
I know you've already talked about it. That's it. That's what I tell everybody, that this is us being of service, and we're really just the radio, with what you and I do, though, a little bit more, and you do it way stronger than I do. But when we do that, we're just giving our vessel to them so we can, so they can relay the messages, because there are important things that we need to listen to. They helps us correct in our lives, help us correct our relationships, help us correct how we're perceiving the universe, and a lot of times we spend a lot of it in that low energy, that, oh, woe is me, everything's bad, instead of looking at it as the lessons that we're supposed to be learning, So too many people take it for the wrong reasons.
Right.
So what happens I've always, we've talked about this before, but I always thought this was a cool topic. Now, what happens and how do you get out, and then where do you go?
Right. Well, they say everybody has these gifts, and I think of gifts as something sometimes it's a huge downside. Like your superpower is sort of also related to the thing that's the biggest challenge about you. Yeah. And I'm speaking about me when I say you.
No, I understand, because it's
and because somehow it's easy for me to leave my body, this is easy for me to do. Somehow, while it's really a challenge sometimes for me to get strong and grounded and have my feet on the ground in life, when I want to do intuitive work, it's my gift. It's it's the easiest thing in the universe for me to do, to leave the body and let high wisdom work. Or even while I'm in a healing session, or at times in classes giving readings, it's the easiest thing in the world for me to be in that space. So when years ago I would go to a channeling twice a month and study channelings all over the place. Every time I picked something up or even spend a second with a channeler, I would be sitting with that energy and just knocked me out. It was just like going home. And the subtlest stuff was very upfront for me. And so I had so much contact with these energies. Somebody said, a seer told me that there was this Tibetan hanging out around me named Glamdoon, and looked like I would be able to channel this being somehow. And so he was a hypnotherapist, so he did hypnosis on me, and did energy work along with hypnosis, and slowly it started getting stronger and stronger, and I started leaving farther and farther, and it became really easy. So we started groups, and that was like when I was 20 and 21 years old, my first days with channeling.
Yeah, was it your trust though that grew too?
Oh, absolutely. And what happens is this gigantic hand of love, this peaceful quality comes on top of me or over me, and it's an invitation to leave. I can choose to stay, but it's sort of this beautiful invitation that I'm like, yeah, let's go party, and I just let it happen. So I have complete control and choice, and they come every time. I don't have them not come. I think some people have a problem with that. I personally don't. They come on a thought, or when I set up at night, they always show up, and they sort of train me hours before.
Right. So where do you go?
And they're here. And they're here now.
Yeah, exactly. All right. No.
Yes.
So, like when I leave, I always go to the same place. I go into the area that I go is totally dark, except for where I'm sitting.
Right.
Where I'm sitting, it's bright light and it's warm, and I just feel like I'm being hugged or coddled, or you know what I mean. Like I feel like a little baby just in the arms of the universe, just waiting there. And to me, it always goes so quick. I mean, I just think I get there, and then next thing I know, my spirit guide Steve comes to me and goes, "Okay, time to go back."
Right.
And I go, "Already?" He goes, "Yeah, it's been 35 minutes." What?
Right.
I just got here. I don't want to go back. It feels too nice. Got to go back to my arthritis.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting how time is in the intuitive realm, because one of the things the channeling has been saying to my friends is that between lives, for me, I was being taught in the infinite realms with the teachers for 10,000 years. But in this dimension, it was 75 years. So I left a body and came back in 75 years on this dimension. But in between lives, in terms of teaching, I was taught for 10,000 years.
Correct. Wow.
So I don't know if that's really comprehensible, even what that means. I think it's just
That means you've been
a new idea of time, I think.
means you've been doing a lot of work.
I did a lot of work between lives.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what that means, but I think sometimes the transformation thing isn't for sissies, and you have to have some clarity about it to stay with it. It's to take on the challenges, like it's in life, society, just lifestyle. You have to have some gumption to be as public as we are with the spiritual kind of inclination or the intuitive style of spirituality. Not everybody gets it. You have to have some mental toughness.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, everybody in the chat room, thank you for. I see a couple questions, and I'll bring those up. If you have any more for Jeremy or myself tonight, just feel free to put them in there, and we'll be more than happy. So they say, I can't wait to get a reading from Scotty. Oh, thank you, Debbie. That means much. Does Jeremy do personal readings as well? Jeremy.
I absolutely do. pay attention to the website, affinity groups, and it's on meetups, the meetups group, affinity group. Pay attention there. I also do readings in my healing sessions. So you can see my website at affinitytransformations.com and get more about what I do. The best way to work with me is maybe take a class or two to understand the context of my work, and the feedback fits this transformation model I give all the time in classes. And so the individual coaching is made more potent if they're a student that has a similar language, like the language I'm using in class, which is universal truth, but just to kind of get us on the same page. But every once in a while, I'll do readings, like at the Mind, Body, Spirit Empowerment Group, Day. What day is that? On April 24th?
April 24th here in Madison.
Meetings all day there.
We'll do Zoom ones too, because a lot of these people are not in Madison.
And I do online work as well. Definitely. It'll be a full transformation experience, and I record it and send it through Dropbox so people can listen to it later and make sure they get the invitations, the statements that transform the energy, and look at it later.
I mean, I think that's the biggest thing that I learned during the pandemic was how to change everything that I did to everything online. So all my classes, all my readings.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm doing so much online, and I was so used to doing everything in person, and now I have friends all over the world since the pandemic started.
It's actually made us closer, you know, and it's neater to. And I think it was there for a reason. I was talking about this last December, how there was going to be some kind of major change this, you know, last year, and I knew that something was going to happen. And I didn't say that there was going to be a flu or anything. I didn't see that, but I just knew that it was our movement towards the oneness, you know, to being together, to understand that the money and what we're driving at is not what the goal is. The goal is to be with family and friends and with spirit. And I can't tell you how many people have this year or 2020 came out and really understood and heard spirit again, because they didn't have time to do anything else. They're sitting at home. They're tired of watching Judge Judy, and so I mean, what else can you do? But Spirit was there yelling and trying to get you to talk with.
So many people that I attract in the classes I do love singing that song. You know, they're spending all this time with the trees, and they see the gift in this big shift on the planet, and they just stay clear about that. And being in solitude isn't this big make wrong. Like you're saying, both you and I somehow have not had a negative effects of disconnect with community. We're staying active, you know, through Zoom or whatever, and just coaching and staying in service. It really knocks that part of you out of the park. It leaves that's in despair or gets lost in, oh my God, the world has gone wrong. I can like waver in that direction, but I'm so fixed on doing service work that it's nice to get a big break from common culture. It's gravity.
Right.
It really is.
Yeah, I agree. That's amazing. Well, so off topic, like, you know, when you and I always talk, we always go off topic. But I saw today on Facebook, there was this cool thing. There was this device. It was like almost $500. But
Okay.
you could put talking about being with the trees. That's what brought this up in my mind. That you
Yeah.
can actually put one probe on the roots and one up on the leaves.
Okay.
You can actually listen to the music that tree makes.
Oh,
And it's
wow.
cool music. I was freaked. I was freaked when I saw the video on it.
That's really cool.
I know.
Really cool. You know, what I'm clear on is when an incredibly negative person goes in the woods and starts walking around, the trees are delighted to have that being with them.
Right.
The forest is absolutely happy, and it is growing in its celebration when the most wretched, screwed up aura walks through the woods. That's how generous trees are.
Right.
So that's really powerful, if you ask me.
If I do too, and I always talk about trees, and I tell people, don't be a tree hugger. That's still the best thing in the world. I mean, I talk to trees, I listen to them, but if you think about the trees in the forest or anything in the forest, when their roots are underground, if one tree is hurting, the other trees are sending nutrients to that tree.
Yeah. The current scientists often think of a forest as one organism because of how interconnected the trees are, how they respond to each other as if it's one hand in the other. And that really corresponds to what spiritual people discover, like Scotty is one hand and I'm the other. We're not working against each other. We're more than just on the same team.
Right. Like Terry says, we're all, if you look at this, we're all the hand, or the hand. And you can see there's Jeremy, there's Scotty, there's you guys at home, there's everybody there.
Right.
And this is God. Yet we're all individuals. We can do our own things, but yet we're all attached. We're all one.
Right. Right. It's still
I love that analogy. It's so amazing.
Yeah, Terry's full of wonderful, very thought through analogies.
So just give us a thumbs up.
One day you too will be out there, viewers, will be in the room with Terry and one of her analogies.
Oh yeah, you will come to a psychic giant meeting. She's always doing that. That's for sure.
All right.
She's sleeping on the couch, so I'm just gonna
get. Oh, am I really putting Terry to sleep? Oh man, I better up my game here.
I know I'm giving you a bad rap. She's just listening with her eyes closed.
Okay.
But yes, I mean, so those analogies are great. I mean, but that's what it is. We are the oneness, and that was really cool when you were saying Rama's starting to talk about that, because I think that's what we have to understand is the oneness, and start living it now instead of living it as all individuals. And I think that's even what the virus did for us. It was starting to make us live as one, because we all had to work together. We all had to be together. We all had common goals.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, people, perished, and that's not what I'm saying it's good about. But for us, I mean,
right,
there is a reason why this all came about.
Well, right, and people have to look at their stuff as well. Like if they were addicted to succeeding or materialism, this pandemic, knocked some bank accounts around or closed some businesses down, and it made them look inside in difficult ways. And people are coming out the other side of that, grateful. It's a transformation as well for so many, that some of the neuroses people have to be outed. People with health issues in families are now being looked at directly. I mean, my work has picked up in the last year just because there's so many people that could use help.
Yeah. I do miss hugs though, and I do miss hugging you.
Right.
And seeing each other and going out to eat. So, that type of thing. But that's going to start picking up now. So, I mean, I can definitely see the end coming through. It's going to be very similar to the flu every year. We're just going to, you can get your flu shot, you get your COVID shots. It might last this long, but you're going to have to get it again, or this type of thing. But we're used to the flu, and look how many people less had the flu this year. So
yeah, I get a sense that while I personally, as a human, kind of think about going back to normal, actually we're going back to a whole new normal. I mean, it's going to be different now. It's not. We will be good with vaccines, but now I don't know if we'll turn back on how convenient it is to visit on Zoom. We may still do a lot more in-person stuff, but I think the track is made. My daughter is doing all her classwork on Zoom, and that's what they do in college. So she's ready for college. She knows how to interact and troubleshoot with Zoom and computers like no other fourth grader of all time.
Right.
And so while it'd be great when she has her peers right there with her in class, I think she'll be, a totally new world person. This is going to be a new era. We'll have to watch and see what happens from all this.
So to my point is I see it as, no longer do I have to fly to Italy, even though I want to go to Italy, for a
Right.
meeting, you know what I mean? But I don't have to fly to San Francisco for 1 day meeting and fly back.
Right.
I can just sit there and talk to you right now. I mean,
Right.
everybody in the world doesn't know where we are. Well, Jeremy and I are only a few miles apart from each other.
Yeah. Right.
But I've had guests on that have been on the other side of the United States, but you don't know. You never know. So a lot of that's going to change. I think a lot of that, and I think there's going to be way more communication and stuff. I think this is going to be like when the telephone came.
Right.
And that increased the world, and then this is going to do it. But I think this is going to bring us more together because we're going to keep getting the chance to see each other without having to leave something to do that. And I don't even see big office buildings anymore because why do you need to? Why do you have to go to a meeting in a building together? Why can't you do it from your home in your office?
Yeah, my buddy, he was forced to go back to work often because they wanted to make sure everybody was doing their job. And through the pandemic, he's been doing all this work at home, and work productivity went way up because everybody's at home instead of visiting at the bubbler,
Right.
doing work-related things in the office. And so while productivity goes up, they also don't need as much office space.
Right.
That's a lot to think about. Wow, if the world's changing, then it won't go back.
Nope, I don't think so. But I just wanted to do this because, like I said, Jeremy and I are only a few miles apart, and we use the word bubbler. So for the rest of the world, I'll explain that term to you. So let's go in the Wayback Machine. So there was in a town here in Wisconsin was a place or was a company called Kohler, and they were the first ones to build the water fountain. And they used one where they pushed air up to push the water up. And so as the water came up, it made a bubbling sound. And so what happened was that's why the original patent is out there as bubbler. And that's why, and we're from Wisconsin and Kohler's from Wisconsin. So that's why we call it bubbler.
Right.
Oh yeah, and bubblers are at the state capitol. Yep.
Right.
So the bubblers.
Right. Water fountain.
We don't call them water fountains.
Remember sometimes to say water fountain when they have a local audience.
Yeah, Diana says water fountain. I said no, not it. But she's from Illinois, so there you go.
Those poor Illinois people.
I know. I feel so sorry for them. Always sending love and healing down that way.
Yeah, they could use extra.
Need more down there, that's for sure.
Yes. So, you're a Ghostbuster. Have you been on cable TV lately?
No, haven't been on TV at all, but I've been doing a lot of investigation, especially in Milwaukee. We did the Riverside Theater once. We're doing another one April 17th and 18th. We're doing hunting the Riverside Theater again, so that's a really fun time. That's downtown Milwaukee. We did Turner Hall.
Okay.
And now next one I want to get to, guys, if you're hearing me, I want to get into the Pabst. So the Pabst Theater.
Oh. When I was first starting out, I got my Reiki 1 and 2, and then I started clearing houses and buildings in Milwaukee, right there by the Riverside, a place called the Comstock I lived in. And there was this pretty awful entity that lived in there. And I was clearing the building, and I took a break, I took a nap, and it shouted at me, kicked me out of the bed, shocked the crap out of me.
Wow.
And my response was to keep clearing the building. And now I have in my aura that my colors don't run. I can't get knocked around by entities anymore. They don't attack me anymore. But I got that. I earned my stripes in Milwaukee as an energy worker.
It's funny that I'm there doing it now. So and the energies are still there. I mean, it's still crazy. Oh, by the way, everybody from Illinois, I love you. Yet I still love you. We're getting a lot of comments like, "Hey, now, whatever." No, but
Oh, they're Midwesterners just like us.
they are. They are. They're just the Southerners of the Midwest.
One thing I like about Illinois, and I don't think there's anybody that appreciates this more than me, honestly. When I'm driving through Illinois and it goes on and on forever in all directions, I just love that effect. I really know suddenly I'm in infinity. It just is forever all around me. And that to me is beauty. I really get that. And I don't know if that.
I understand that. I mean, I've never thought of it that way. I can see it that way. But if I'm driving in Infinity, all of a sudden, next thing I know, I'm in Metropolis and with the giant Superman statue.
Right, right. Okay.
So that's in the lowest tip of Illinois, Metropolis.
Oh,
Yeah, they have
Okay.
they have the comic book store there. They have all kinds of stuff. They have Lois Lane statue there. So it's kind of fun. I always love it down there.
I'm a comic book guy. I love my Star Wars comics, my X-Men. I'm really kind of a nut. Or
So anybody, everybody knows the show. We go off on tangents. Watch WandaVision. Oh, that was great.
that was amazing. It kept getting better. And it was after 3 seasons, I'm at the edge of my seat. I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen next.
Right.
Not every show can do that at 3 seasons.
Yeah, it's amazing. So it was really cool. But yeah, so watch WandaVision. Very good.
Oh, it's too amazing. So good.
The casino.
What's the DC comic TV show that's on? I saw that some weeks ago.
The other one I love though, it's not DC though, it's Star Wars. The Mandalorian.
Oh, that was amazing. Yeah. The best Star Wars stuff ever. And the Mandalorian upgraded the whole Star Wars universe with how they tied it all together. They gave it more context. They just added so much to the Star Wars universe with just that show.
And the way they make it is so much cheaper and easier because they converted that studio into that movie with all the lights and all the diagrams. So they're still really using animation, computer animation at the same time with live action, just like Disney did from the beginning. So it's pretty amazing. I'm like, oh my God.
So amazing. Yeah, the first episode of the second season was the best Star Wars moment ever. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but that was just so cool.
I love when Baby Yoda did his meditation and all the blue energy was around him. And
all right.
That was incredible.
Yeah, so brings us to the fore because it's using the Force.
Right. It's very similar to what we have, so I don't think that's too far off of what we really do. So my question was, so talk about this. I mean, because a lot of people in here are starting out in this. How would you what would they do to start out? What is kind of like your place where you start? Because I tell everybody meditation.
Right. I'm a big fan of meditation, and when I did energy work, as far as seeing auras goes, it was clearer when I was running energy. Like it's like putting, like when you have an X-ray and a radio, the gamma rays go through the body, and you can take a picture of that.
Right.
You send a blessing, you start to get clearer. So running blessings helps intuition. And so I think it's because you're bringing higher energy and you notice the contrast with human conditioning and it can come so clear. So I really recommend doing healing work.
Yeah.
Like learning how to run energy. I do attunements all the time. Make sure people get that started.
Yeah. All right. And by the way, your energy or your aura today is very blue.
Well, thanks. Blue is my color.
Yeah, it's really pretty strong color. I mean, it's so dark of a blue. It's really cool.
Thanks for noticing.
I've been watching it. Looking at your aura more than you.
Yeah, you know, people come to me and they expect colors from me. And I don't give them colors as often as you'd think.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. I experience movement of energy. I experience if it's lighter energy, it's moving in a static way, or if it's not moving at all. If it's stuck, it comes out as objects or shapes. I watch for different kinds of balance, different types of balance. I might track to see how the chakras are getting along. For instance, if someone has a lot of interruptions in the chakras from lower to higher, I'll tell them, oh, you have a lot of strong ideas about where you should be in life at this time, at this time, at this time, at this time. And I might say, if it looks a certain way, oh, you should on yourself. Stop shoulding on yourself.
So everybody at home and YouTube and everybody, he said should.
Stop shoulding on yourself. Yeah. So, right. So I might see interruptions in the chakra system and colors don't come up to talk about.
Yeah. All right. So Barbara asked, so Scotty, I lost the program for about 10 minutes. So if you've talked about this, excuse me. Jeremy, when you are channeling, is it by request from someone or a group format, or are you sometimes just picked out of the blue by a spirit?
Yeah, I set up channeling nights. So at 7 on Saturday, on later in April, I will be with a group and it'll be all set up. I'll have an agreement and it will be there for me. It used to be I wasn't in charge. So at any time I would let it just use me. And I created boundaries around it. I had issues with that.
Because if that doesn't answer, Barbara, go ahead and type more. We'll be happy. So Terry just gave me a note. So she says, how can you see an aura through a screen?
A screen?
Or a TV screen?
A TV screen.
How can I see it?
Right. Oh.
Do you see through screens too?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Actually, sometimes I see auras better when I don't see anything. I'm on the phone.
Wow.
Certain things come out more clearly because I'm not distracted by the physical body at all.
Okay.
Like when I'm looking at you through this interface, I see like the way the colors hit your face and the colorful shirt, and then the changes and dynamics around you with what's going on with that fireplace. So I almost have to kind of look away to actually see the energy. And I see different things depending on how I'm looking too. If I look away, I might pick up on something totally different in your energy compared to looking at you and through you and beyond you. And then I might pick up on something else.
Right.
So it's because in spiritual reality, there isn't the distance and there isn't limitations like we experience. We think there are limits. There aren't actually those limits. I think sometimes it's a little harder to detect energies when you're watching a TV program, but I still do. Amanda and I talk about people on the dating shows all the time. We're watching this dating show right now called Married at First Sight.
Okay.
And I talk about their energy way before they're connecting, way before the dramas start. And I give my predictions. We talk about how things unfold.
Yeah, I like that. But so Terry's watching on her TV. But so if everybody's looking at Jeremy now, so around his shoulders. So if you look about 3 inches, what 3 inches would be around somebody, but like a little bit like that. I see that all the way around Jeremy's head, down his shoulders, and all the way to the bottom of the screen. So he's like encapsulated in color. And that's where I see the blue. And I see it just as much as I see Jeremy sitting there. I see no different. I mean, it's just there. So it's not like I have to do anything. I don't have to look any different. I can just look with my eyes and I just see Jeremy's color. Does that make sense? Is that kind of how you see it too when you see it?
Oh, you ever see those magic eye patterns? They started out in the shopping malls in 1991.
Yeah.
So when I look past the surface and you see the illusion inside, the hologram inside,
Yeah.
That's it's a lot like that. I see the surface of life, and then I look past it, and all of a sudden something pops out in somewhere in awareness. So it's another sight beyond the physical eyes. And I work hard at trying to relate this to others so they might get a sense of it. And in my aura seeing and sensing intensives, I do those once in a while, maybe every once in 6 months or so. And I talk about different ways people know. I know that blind people have this electronic eye they wear, and they have a sensor on their tongue. The tongue has so many qualities that they can pick up on everything. And so this eye translates what's being seen on their tongue, and they walk around spaces being able to maneuver and see with their tongue. And so aura seeing is like seeing with my brain instead of my eyes. Something in my brain is receiving something, and I somehow it just goes in there.
Right. But see, I see auras in everything because everything is energy.
Everything is energy, right?
Like everything around you, like your painting behind you and the painting on the side, everything has white aura. And I usually see that for what we call inanimate objects, where I do, or I see, if I see if I saw the Dalai Lama, I probably would say I would see white, because I find that as the ultimate. That's the top. That's like top energy workers, because they have those energies. And then usually when I see like pastors or people that are very spiritual, I will always see purple on them. So my colors match with what I see.
Right. Like when I watch the Dalai Lama, I watch his capacity to use the entire chakra system almost equally. He's the leader of a nation, a leader of a world religion. He's a political statesman, spokesperson. He's an intellectual, and when he speaks in groups, I'm impressed. All of a sudden, I feel like I'm hearing someone that lives in a hut and is a humble monk and knows nobody at all.
Wow.
So that's one of the ways I look at reading is I'll watch for their uniqueness, and I'll try and present it.
That's pretty incredible. So what do you see coming up for the world?
Oh, I try not to look too far ahead.
No, here sometimes.
I'm not as much of a predictor.
Okay.
As the rest of you intuitives. I'll let you guys do a little more of that than I do.
Okay, deal. I'll let you channel more.
Yeah, but just generally, I really feel like as we teeter in ego and in selfishness collectively, there's a type of volatility that asks us to look into our spirit. We really see the volatility that's here. We experience it. It's right to mean business about waking up to spirit. It pulls us out of the sense of volatility. So this is an exciting time in that way. And I really experience that all the time. And I have an optimism about what's going on right now and into the future that's really strong. And it's and I think that things get unearthed because we're sick of them finally. Like sexism is really being thrown in our face collectively, and we're finally disgusted collectively by it. It's now being tolerated less and less. While it's still our society is so much based on it, there's so many areas where it's just not tolerated, like all these politicians being outed for their behaviors or their approaches to women and this kind of stuff. So I have an optimism about what's going on. Things are being unearthed. We're being forced to look at the things in the mirror all the time, and I feel like it's all really good.
I do too. I mean, my biggest thing that I've seen is that continued, with LGBTQ, with women, the African Americans, that type of stuff. Everybody has to be equal for us all to be equal. And the moment we all are is the moment that we can all be in the oneness together. So I think as these are just the beginning steps of it, but this is the way we're supposed to grow, because we're supposed to be more like Star Trek than not like Star Trek.
Well, you're talking to a Star Trek guy, so let's get the nail right on the head with this knee. Okay, nanu, that's work from work.
Not this way is nano.
Oh yeah, this is Doc Spock.
This is Spock, yeah.
Spock, yeah.
I like Doc Spock too.
I'm bumbling a few words today. Excuse me.
No worries. No worries. It's time for us to go to the bubbler. So.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you, everybody, for viewing with us.
Yeah, thank you. So why don't you give your book yet, and why don't you give us your website?
So affinitytransformations.com is the website. You can also find me at ReikiHealingMedicine.com. And you can go to Amazon and look up 1 Degree South of God to get a sense of the channeling I do. We have a book for $15. And you can check links from the website to our meetups group for current events. On Saturday night, I'm doing a Manifesting the Miraculous class. On next Tuesday, I'm doing a class on dismissing unhelpful conditioning. And I definitely will be transmitting as I teach, as always.
That's cool. And as always, I'm on ScottyRorek.com. Scotty Rorek Psychic Medium is my business page, and Scotty Rorek is my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you name it, it's all Scotty Rorek. So look me up. I'm there. And thank you, Jeremy, so much for being with us.
Thanks, Scotty.
I'll see everybody next week right here on the Scotty Rorek Show. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye and bye bonds. No, that was from Ash. That was a bad ending. All right, see you guys. Bye.